The biggest buzz at London Marathon this year wasn't just the racing, it was around Nomio. It's a performance shot used by athletes like Hocker and Mantz. Nomio is used before their key sessions and races, whether it's breaking the American marathon record or getting a world championship gold in Tokyo. What's also interesting is how widely it's being adopted, because it's not just by established elites. Emerging talents like Sam Ruth, the 16-year-old prodigy, swears by the product and is already making waves. Check it out for yourself at drinknomio.com, and if you're in Australia or New Zealand, you can find it at Aid Station and The Running Company. All right, this weekend guest on the Inside Run podcast is an Olympian. He's a 2:06 marathoner, which makes him the second fastest Canadian of all time over that distance. He's the national half marathon record holder with a PB of 59:49. He ran that at Houston earlier this year. He's a podcaster, YouTuber, has one of the best mullets in the running game as well. And we're big on mullets down here in Australia. Thanks to Nomio for making him available for this interview. Welcome to the podcast, Rory Linkletter.
Thanks for having me on, man. I'm excited to. This is my first, I think, time on a Australian podcast. So, I'll be excited to see if the audience in Australia finds me as boring or as entertaining as my North American counterparts do.
They will think you're entertaining because I think like the mullet, I'm not sure if you know, but mullets are massive in Australia. I'm a primary school teacher a couple of days a week, and all the kids at school are repping mullets. They'll relate to your style for sure.
Yeah. I feel a little pigeonholed with the mullet. I've had it now for, I don't know, almost 2 years, a year and a half at least. And I've thought about cutting my hair this summer up here because it's been pretty warm. And I'm like, man, this is a lot of hair to run through the heat in. But, it's part of the brand. Maybe I'll stick it out till the fall season, and then I'll be happy I did.
Yeah, I want to get to your brand later on because you do a lot of things, not just, running performance that kind of helps you create that brand. But tell me about your day. It's a Monday afternoon over there. What was on your couple of runs today, bike ride? What's it looked like?
Yeah, so this morning I went for a 10-mile run just with some friends here in town and my dog. And I've been, I keep myself pretty busy in the day with, I run a coaching business. I feel like planning for podcasts myself, or, having kids keeps you busy as well. So between all of that, I feel like I've been going for a little bit today. This is my second call in a row. I actually had a telehealth call right before this as well. So that was kind of fun and interesting. But yeah, I'll head to the track right after this for some drills and strides before a key session tomorrow.
Okay. And what's the workout tomorrow?
10 to 12 mile progression. So starting at sub marathon, sub threshold, and then working towards marathon-y, maybe even higher end threshold. If you feel good at altitude, it's really hard I find it so hard to squeeze. I basically find myself starting at, if we're going to talk paces, between 3:10 and 3:15 to start. And then if I feel really good, I might go sub 3 by the end. But usually I hit a wall pretty regularly around that 3:02 to 3:05 range, and it's reserved for the special days where the body's flowing really well, where I'm able to go a touch quicker.
It must be tough at the moment too. Obviously at altitude there in Flagstaff, you've also got the heat. Are you prepping for a 1 hour track race? Jimmy Gressier, you guys, you're jumping on the track for an hour, yeah.
Yeah. I saw the Jimmy Gressier announcement for Brussels Diamond League being an hour run attempt. And I said, this is my only chance to ever run in a Diamond League again. Or I guess for the first time ever, because I've never done one. But that was the motivation was well, I really want to do a Diamond League race at some point in my career. And I've kind of pigeonholed myself as a long distance guy. So if they're going to contest 1 hour on the track, that's pretty close to ideal for me. And, I consider myself a solid half marathon runner. and this is basically a half marathon on the track. And yeah, I don't know how I'll compete with the top guys. I don't even know who's in it other than Gressier, but I am trying to give myself a chance to be in close to Sir Mo Farah's world record fitness.
That's right. That was around COVID, wasn't it? Maybe a bit before.
Yep.
Like there was,
Yeah, right
I
around
feel,
COVID.
yeah, I feel like there's not. You can Gabriel Celesi. Did he run one on the track back in the day as well? I feel like I can just think of two or three over the years. When I heard this though, and you spoke about it on your own podcast, wearing spikes for an hour, like now we're in this super shoot era, that really kind of would scare me to be on the track in spikes for 1 hour.
Yeah, I just did last Friday a 10K of work on the track, and that was my longest. I'd built up from like 6K to 8K, now to 10K, and my calves were obliterated 48 hours later. And I was like, man, I got to double this distance and with no breaks, like continuous. So we got some work to do. I'll probably try to get up to 15, 16K of work on the track in spikes, and hopefully that's enough to at least prevent like complete destruction of my lower legs.
Yeah. Hey, proud Canadian. Canada's in the Commonwealth. You tune into the Commonwealth Games at all today? Like, is that a thing over there? We're big on Com Games here in Australia, Rory.
Yeah.
We've sent our strongest team. We got our first gold this morning in the women's 10K.
Yeah, I saw that.
What's it like for you guys?
Yeah, so in the US, which is where I live, the Commonwealth Games is very, very under the radar, obviously, because they don't participate. But in Canada, they say it's the second most important team you could ever make is a Commonwealth Games team, only behind the Olympics. They put it above the World Championships here, or in Canada, I should say. And I've never done one. I wanted to do one this year, but my wife is due. We're expecting our third child any day now. Like, could be today, could be tomorrow, who knows. And so when I saw the dates of it, I was like, well, that just doesn't work. But I thought I was in good enough shape that I think I could have been in the 10,000 this year. I felt like I was in the best 10,000 meter shape of my life in the last 12 months. So part of me was like, oh, maybe this is my one chance to do something like that, but just didn't line up. And if I have to choose between Com Games and a fall marathon, as much as Com Games would be a great, I guess, honor, it's not as financially beneficial as running a major or a big marathon. And I'm paid to run marathons, not get destroyed by Kenyans and Ugandans in track 10Ks.
Yeah. Have you got a prediction for the men's mile? Like, you all like, do you follow it enough that you're like, all right, Cam Myers, Josh Kerr, Jake Whiteman,
I think Cam Myers was running better than anyone in the world. Up until obviously the world record was broken by Josh Kerr. So it's like, but I find it interesting that I think Cam Myers could have been right there. And I wonder what would have happened had he been there. I've seen Cam out here in Flagstaff a few times. He seems like an absolute monster. I'm a fan. I definitely believe in his talent and want to see him, throw some punches at like the savvy old vet of Josh Kerr. Josh Kerr is like so good for the sport, but it's almost like it's kind of fun to root against him, admittedly. And I have nothing against Josh Kerr. It's just like I would be rooting for the underdog in that situation.
Yeah, very good. Hey, on this show, we like to hear some stories about people's PBs. And when I was making a list of yours yesterday, I might start with just the 1500 and work my way up. So you've run 344 for the 15, 355 for the mile, 749 for 3K, 1329 for 5K, 2748 for 10K. Now, this is where things get interesting because you've run 5949 for the half at Houston, but 60 flat at New York. Are we calling New York the better run because it's a hillier course?
Absolutely. It's not even close. But
it's not 59 though.
Yeah, I know. And I was bummed because when I crossed the line, I thought I broke 60. Like I thought I was 59.
Yeah.
I probably was, but road races do this cruel thing where they round everything up. But my run at New York was a far fitter version of myself and a better run by every measure. Like I raced better. I was tougher in the last 5K. I was closing harder. I went out harder. My first 10K in that race was sub 28, which was like mind blowing for me at the time. Like I couldn't believe that my head was on straight going through in sub 28. And New York is notoriously tough. That last 5, 6K of the race. So to hold on there for 60 flat, I feel like that run is far more impressive. And Houston was like lightning in a bottle in terms of conditions. So I got like a perfect day in Houston and I felt good and I'm really proud of the Houston run. But I think had the New York date and Houston date flipped, the fitness that I was in New York on that day with that field would have been like 20, 30 seconds faster.
Yeah, gotcha. And then your marathon. So last year at Chicago, 206.49, you come ninth, so top 10 in a major. This year at Boston, 206.04, 14th overall.
Yeah.
Boston's got this weird thing. We had Connor Mantz on the show probably 5 or 6 weeks ago when we did the campaign with Nomio as well. And we kind of got talking about the American records and what has an asterisk next to it. And I was in Boston this year as well. And like it was windy, but it wasn't like you got the race for free windy. It was,
it wasn't. It was an 8 mile per hour or 12 km an hour tailwind, which like if you're doing a track workout and that's the forecast, you're not like talking about how the wind really crushed you on one end or another of the track. You would probably chalk that up to a normal day on the track. But since Boston's point to point and it just happened to be blowing the right way, it obviously makes for a faster race. But I think Boston makes you earn the time with the course itself, the difficulty of the last 15K to be precise. And the way we ran that race, no pacer, some surges, some pretty nasty splits in the middle. I think my 206.04 in Boston, like I think had I been on a flat fast course, I could have run that time any which way. I actually think I ran pretty subpar on that day. I don't think that was like a special day for me.
Yeah. So which one do you go with when someone says what's your best marathon?
Well, my best marathon might not be my fastest one. That's for sure. I would say Boston the year before was a better marathon, just better execution, better tactically. But I would tell them 206.04 because I don't think Boston is an asterisk type course. I think it's earned, not given. But I don't plan on using that PB for much longer. So I plan on obliterating that time, hopefully this coming year.
Okay, that's good. And it's this weird time where I'm sure you know what you're doing, but the race hasn't announced it yet, so you can't say anything. I always find this weird. Like we got some Australians, like we had Izzy Bat Doyle. She just got announced for Chicago, but she was doing some like live commentary at the Gold Coast Marathon a few weeks ago, and she kind of couldn't announce it. And the other commentators are asking her what she's got coming up, and it's this weird kind of like we want to know and we want to be fans of people, but then you can't share what you're doing until the race does.
Yeah, it's silly. I mean, they protect it because they love their like press clipping of like, here's our field. But I love dropping hints because I think there's no rules against context clues. I am doing a late fall marathon that is very much considered one of the fastest races on earth. So you can probably figure that. You can figure that out if you have a pretty good knowledge of the sport.
Yeah, and once you start seeing like the Chicago fields come out, you're like, all right, we can start inferring. If he's not there, what you just said means you're not going to be at New York. You got to start looking for like this one would fall within the qualifying windows as well, I assume.
Yep.
So it's a smart decision. Get the time out of the way early, become a 204, 205 guy, lock yourself in for the next couple of years. Good luck with 3 children.
Yeah, if I can get the national record in the marathon this fall at my next race, my next marathon, puts me in a really good spot going into the LA Olympics, which is obviously everything's pointing towards that big event, especially as an athlete based in the US and it being a US based Olympics. I feel like there's going to be a little extra hype and hoopla. I don't know if you're a big, soccer fan or whatever, but I feel like the World Cup was just insane here, like way more so than the previous one, just because it's on US soil. And I get the feeling that there will be the same excitement built around the LA Olympics.
Yeah. Even the big brands as well. Like they're just going to go like huge. You just feel like the
Yeah.
running brands, this run and boom, it's going to be, wow, like it's already, 5 or 6 years deep. It's just getting bigger. And then you've got America putting on the Olympics. So
Yeah.
it's going to be massive.
And then Brisbane 4 years later.
Yeah. Well, we were meant to have these Commonwealth Games, but it was a bit of a shit show, and we pulled out at the last minute, and that's why they're like revised and stuff now. So that would have been nice to have that happening at the moment. But yeah, Brizzy would be good. You been to Australia
Yeah.
before?
No, no. My two, like, I need to get there for race places are the UK and Australia. I've never raced in the UK and I've never raced in Australia. So those are like top of the list, and it's just finding the right opportunity. And I will tell you what, 2032 Olympics, assuming I'm still doing this thing at a high level, that would be a pretty ideal situation.
Let's get you the time under the belt early. Let's go with that plan, and then come out and run Sydney, because Sydney's a major now, and it's got some hills in it, and Brisbane's
Yep.
hilly. So that'd be a good way to
Yep.
experience Australia and get ready for Brisbane.
Yeah, I would love to do Sydney from like I think it'll continue to be like a major that's you can get like a high place finish for now until it like kind of picks up more international steam and keeps getting, bigger budgets and whatnot. I do think that their field this year was pretty spectacular, but
Mm.
I'm comparing it to like the Bostons, the New Yorks, the Londons, Berlins, whatever, and I do think like if you're a guy like myself that looks at himself as a fringe, like if everything comes together, can I podium at a major? Like if you're trying to hedge your bets, I would say hedging your bet to a Sydney, especially if you're like championship style race or tough course. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and in Australia, we don't have the depth like the domestic depth. So when you go to Boston or New York or Chicago, you've got all those American guys that can run. I don't know
And
that
same with
two.
like Tokyo. That's
Yeah,
like
all the Japanese
Japanese guys.
guys.
You'll get like 40 dudes that can break 208.
Yeah. And there'll be 20 of them on that start line, and that
Yeah.
kind of 2.6 to 2.10 depth. Whereas we've got like, I don't know, 3 or 4 guys who can do that, and one of them's Pat Tin, and who's based in the US that we don't kind of see much back here. So yeah, get down to Australia for sure. Hey, you did this pretty unique thing after Boston. 5 weeks between Boston and Ottawa. Ran 2:09 for third at Ottawa. I guess that was like a business decision to get home to Canada. Is that like a national champs or anything like that? Because we don't see that often where people back up so quickly.
So I've done it 2 years in a row. I did it
Mm.
after Boston last year as well, and I came second. And I was like, oh well, I did it. I did it well enough the year before, and I actually came second to Albert Career,
Yeah.
the infamous Albert Career at this point. And so there was like a little bit of a redemptive arc goal with this year's, but yeah, it was a good field in Ottawa. Like, and I was there with 2K to go. Like at 40K, I was in the lead, and with 1,500 meters to go, I was still in the lead. And those guys just blitzed the last 1,500. I probably closed at like just under 3-minute K pace for the last 1,500, and they still put like 10, 15 seconds on me in the final 15. So I just got kind of my doors blown off there. But yeah, it's a bit of a business decision, and it's also like I think it's important for athletes to prop up the sport in their home country. And as an athlete that lives in the U.S., trains and races in the U.S. a lot, it means a lot to me to be able to go to Canada and race at a high level and build a little bit of like more intrigue and story there. And so Ottawa's been a great, I guess, partner in my career thus far. I've been at that race weekend 5 years in a row. They do a 10K there as well. That's part of like a Canadian Championship series. That's really good. And then this marathon is just a good race. Really, it's just a high level race for Canada. And yeah, I want to try to do my part to, prop up that by being one of the faces of Canadian distance running. I think it's smart for me to be involved on the Canadian side of it.
Yeah. And what I could imagine your first thoughts when you heard the news about Korea, like get that, was it doping or biological passport? I can't remember exactly what
No,
it was.
he had like everything.
Everything. Yeah.
He was straight up juiced. Like
Yeah.
three failed tests. In that year that he beat me, I think he failed the test in October. Still ran New York in November because it takes a while for those tests to come back.
Mm.
And so he was for sure like they DQ'd the results post his failed test, but not pre. But if you aren't living under a rock, most of us in the biz live under the assumption that if they cheated once, we don't believe anything they did prior.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so it's hard to believe someone like just like the idea came to them and then they just happen to get caught right when they try. It's usually like, oh, how long were you getting away with this before you got caught?
Yeah, well, that was a Chepngetich thing, wasn't it? It's like, oh yeah, you
Yeah.
run 209 and then you start doping. Like, just doesn't make sense at all. But like, is it complete anger, sadness, frustration? Like
I
being a
think
hometown race, I think that's got to hit different. Like you could have been the Canadian guy winning the Canadian marathon.
Yeah, yeah. And who knows if I'll ever win that race
Mm.
now. Like I went back this year with the intention of like, oh, I'll get the poetic justice and win, and was close, but didn't win. And um, I look at that and I look at the year before and I see that, career is now, scarlet lettered, banned. Uh, yeah, I was pissed. I'm like, not surprised though. It's not one of those things where I was like taken back by it. It was one of those where it was more of like, well, it was bound to happen eventually. It is a bummer that it happened the way it did, when it did, with the impact it had directly on me. But if you're going to be at the highest level of this sport, it's going to happen to you eventually. And this was just the closest to home, literally and figuratively, like it could have been.
Mm. Yeah, it's just so frustrating. Do you think as a sport we're getting closer to that happening less or more?
Oh, it's going to happen more only because the testing's better. So we get positive tests more, but I don't think there's more cheating, if that makes sense. I don't
Yeah.
think people are cheating more now. I think people are getting away with it less, which is a positive change in the sport. I do believe that if you're in the pool, that you're going to get caught if you're doing something wrong, unless, of course, you have some sort of insane backing of really, really high level financial backing, doctor backing, things that are going to be able to stay ahead of things. Like I'm a big Tour de France fan, and I genuinely am like curious if all these guys are clean, because as an athlete in the testing pool, and I'm not even the highest tier. Like I get tested out of comp like 8 to 10 times a year, but I just don't know. I don't even know how you would try to cheat in today's day and age with the advancements in testing and the whereabouts and random out of comp testing. Like you'd have to be so high level cheating to get away with it forever. And I can't imagine the psychological torture of knowing that you're cheating and knowing that you could get caught at any moment, which obviously, like if you've read up on doping in the 90s and 2000s, that was a real thing then. But even then, like it was so much easier to avoid these tests and to get out of it.
Mm.
Nowadays, I'm like, how could you possibly like sleep at night knowing that you're cheating? Like it's just going to catch up to you, unless of course you're in a remote place like Kenya or Uganda or whatnot, and you're only racing twice a year and you're not in the pool. That's the only way I could see you like actually being able to get away with it long term.
Yeah, but then you're going to find yourself in the pool once you get a bit of success, aren't you? Like it's,
Yeah.
or do you just stay a bit underground? Hey, that 5 week block though, like Boston, up and down, 206 low, smashes your legs. Then you've got you got to recover from that. You got to taper. How do you manage that over 5 weeks to go again?
So I've always been really good at bouncing back from things. Like that's one of my superpowers in training. I smash myself and then I'm fine. A few days later, I'm good at pushing myself, but I'm also good at knowing the lines and also bouncing back pretty quickly. I like to attribute that to being good at fueling, being good at strength training, being good at intensity control and training, and just a little bit of luck. And so just kind of treat the first race as the A race and then see what you can scrounge together for the second one. And this year specifically, the harder challenge was coming off the disappointment of Boston. I felt like Boston was the fittest I'd ever been on a start line in my life. Like I just felt invincible. And then I got kind of, my teeth kicked in and humbled in Boston. And so like the biggest challenge there was coming off of that disappointment and gearing up for another go. I felt pretty deflated after Boston. Not like discouraged, but just like, man, that took a lot of emotional energy out of me. Boston's such a big race. It's the hoopla is huge. And so it feels like it's like, athletes talk about the post Olympic depression. I had like post Boston depression
Yeah.
after that race.
Yeah, I could see that. It's the way that I've run a couple of like some big ones overseas, but I come back and told the boys on the podcast, I'm like, nothing compared to Boston. Like I've done
Yeah.
Chicago and Valencia and a couple of different ones in Japan, but the passion that crowd has for their own race and the way the city gets around it. I haven't ran New York though. Some people say, oh, no, similar to New York, but it was incredible. So I can understand the feeling post race view. And do you mean like position wise, like because I see the 206 low and I'm like it's a great run, but is it because so many guys ran that 204 to 205 and you weren't happy, like you want to be in that pack?
So the way I see it is it's an execution error. Like the difference between a 204 race and a 206 race was like a few decisions away. And I just like fumbled those decisions or those efforts quite a bit. I think I should have run 90 seconds faster. That's like my post race, post mortem, deep thoughts of like, what could I have done differently? How could I have executed at a different level? And I just wasted too many bullets, to use a term that we use around here. It's just like you only have so many matches, so many bullets to use in a race. And I think I was so fired up on my fitness, so fired up on the race that I just was burning matches like unnecessarily early, just like believing like I had to race like with my heart on my sleeve the whole time. And I ran with my heart the whole time, and I should have run with my head for the first 25K and then tried to run with my heart the last 16 instead of the way I did it. So I just think I learned a very valuable lesson in a difficult way, because not to get all like, existential, but like you never know which race is the fittest you'll ever be. But I knew on that day, there was not a fitter version of myself up until now, at least, than that day. And just like the sessions I was doing, every time I asked my body to do something in training or racing, I was surprised with what it was capable of. And so I felt like a lot of confidence coming out into that race. And I thought on my best day, I could be on the podium, top 5, top 3, maybe. I mean, in hindsight, the race was so fast and so top heavy that nobody had a bad race. So in retrospect, I don't think I should have been 5th or 3rd. I think I should have been somewhere between 6 and 10. And I still like missed the mark from that. So.
Okay. And then like you're coached by John Green, who kind of came onto our radar over here when like Molly Seidel kind of had her success around the Tokyo Olympics. Do you guys sit down and have like a big debrief post-mortem, like, go through this stuff? Or is it more like, these are my thoughts and we move on to the next race?
We had some post-mortem. I think Boston was the most necessary post-mortem we've ever had. We do them after every big race, and we kind of plan out the next thing and where we might tweak. We've now done, 5 or 6 marathons together. And I would say up until Boston, everything was smashing. Like we just kept building more success on more success. It wasn't necessarily linear progression, but it was what it felt like progression. And Boston, I think the training was progression, and the pre-marathon races showed the progression on paper, like the half marathon in New York, the half marathon in Houston. Just the metrics we were getting in training were showing that. And then I take more blame pie. Like if we're going to divvy up the blame of, this person's this much responsible for what happened. I mean, I take a lot of the blame on. And there was only a few things that I look at from a training perspective. I'm like, maybe we neglected this a little bit. But even then, like John lets me be a big boy and dictate some of these things that I could have pushed for, right? Like one of the big things was like, I didn't prioritize like long runs enough. Like it's easy as an experienced marathoner to be like, I'm good at that already. Like I don't need to work on that as much anymore. You kind of neglect the fundamentals and go after these flashy things like speed. And I was really I felt like after the race, I felt like I was in better half marathon shape than marathon shape, just because that's what I was driven to improve upon, instead of getting back to the fundamentals and just being like, no, I just got to master this distance and this event.
We had Adam Diddick on last week. He just coached Haftu Strintos, who broke the Australian record a couple of weeks ago at Gold Coast, and he had this big saying like, protect the long run, like everything else. And I'm like, we got to get this printed on hats. We can sell this as merch. Like, this is a great kind of core principle around training. How do you guys look at the long run? Like, is it a workout, or is it time on feet, or what is it?
It's everything. It's both of those things. It's sometimes less emphasized, sometimes more. And that's the thing, is John lets me decide how much emphasis I put on it. And I would smash my midweek sessions, and we do a lot of density. So we hit stuff regularly, and it's kind of up to me as like, are you feeling good enough to press again? Like, do you want to just hit this time on feet? Do you want to go, how far do you want to go? He'll give me a range. He'll be like, you want to do a pickup in this long run? And if I feel good and I'm motivated and I am emphasizing the long run, I can run it faster. I can run it with pickups. I can run it further. There's a little bit of room for interpretation for me. And I just took the easy way out way too frequently in the build. Instead of 40K, I go 35. Instead of, 330 per K, I ran 350. Instead of a 4-mile pickup at marathon effort, I just ran steady. Like, there was just like a ton of like small cop outs that I think I just put the emphasis elsewhere in training, like on, and I assumed that I was going to be strong enough because of other things I was doing. Like, I was like, yeah, I'm running more mileage. I'm hitting all this threshold. Like, I'll be strong enough. Like, I don't have to worry about that. And I think I learned a valuable lesson that you can't replace the value of like that fatigue resistance training in the marathon.
Yeah, gotcha. Hey, you've worked with some amazing coaches like Ed Eyestone at BYU when you were there, Ben Rosario at NAS Elite, Ryan Hall, and now John Green. What do they have in common, and what are their differences?
What they have in common is they all believe in the work. They all believe in like the personal accountability and the like strength side of the sport. I'd say they all kind of lean that way. Maybe some of them are a little bit more old school. Like Ryan and Ed were like the old school, like just hammer yourself, like you'll be good. like some days you're the hammer, some days you're the nail kind of thing. Ben Rosario was also kind of old school, but like more calculated, and he was hesitant on speed. Like he wanted a strength-based program. And then John Green is kind of this, like, if we're talking like the Goldilocks analogy, where it's like just too hot, too cold, or just right. So I'd say Ben Rosario was too cold for me. Ed Eyestone might have been too hot. Ryan Hall was probably closer to just right. And then like now I feel like I've found the just right with John. And a lot of that again is on me. Like Ed Eyestone, John Green, and Ryan Hall all were the kind of coaches that like they hold onto the reins very loosely. Like they're not dictators in the training. They're not going to, tell you straight up, you have to do it this way. They're going to give you a workout. They're going to give you mileage. They're going to give you the direction. They're going to point, but it's still ultimately on the athlete to interpret what they need to do.
Okay. Yeah, gotcha. So like it's a 60-minute recovery run. It's all good if you do 50, or it's all good if you do 70, or whatever it is. Like there's a bit of lenience there.
I mean, Ryan was pretty strict on volume of easy days for the first year I worked with him. And then I basically told him, I was like, dude, like, can I just run as far as I feel like on my easy days? If I feel good, I'll go further. If I feel like crap, I'll go less. And I'm a pretty good self-governor of volume. And he handed me those keys and it went well. And then John Green is very specific about total weekly volume, but he has no preference on how you get there. He does not care. He's like, here's your workouts, here's your weekly volume, get it done. And so that's the interpretation side. And then Eyestone, same thing. He just tells you, he'll tell you how far to go on a long run. He'll tell you what the workout is, and he'll tell you what he thinks you should run volume wise, but he's not even going to check in. He's not even going to be like, oh, did you actually do what we said? He's like he's going to just hand you the keys to the car and then, be done. It's pretty hands off.
Which one delivers the best pep talk? Like you're in the marquee at a start line of a marathon. who can pump you up the most, or you don't need that help. You can pump yourself up.
So I'm wired a little bit for the pumped. I'm naturally wired. So, but it's interesting. All of them are different ways of
Different
pumping
ways.
you up. But Coach Eyestone has this cool calmness to him that's pretty motivating. He's very unimpressed by most things, unshaken, very steady. And so that kind of is motivating in its own way. Like he's almost like it's just another day. Like, but he'll say like the occasional, like really meaningful thing. Like when I was in the NCAA's and I got second in the 10,000 meter, I remember with 500 meters to go in the race, I was in like 7th place. And Coach Eyestone yells from the side of the track, and I'll never forget it. It's the most impactful single like call out I've ever had in a race. And he just said, "Be great." And it's like that's like just from his voice in that moment. It's so simple, but it worked, right? Like it worked wonders. And I just turned into this animal, closing like 55 seconds, ran down everybody except for Mark Scott, the eventual winner. And yeah, like Coach Eyestone had that like kind of like he didn't use the he didn't use it every time, but when he called upon like something special, he was able to make a big impact. Ryan was more of like the, you know, coach you up mentally every day of practice. Like he really like cared more about the art of coaching than the science. Really challenged you to change your thought process on what you were capable of. And then I'd say Ben and John were both like they just dreamed. They just like think you can do anything. They're gonna believe like the impossible is possible. I think the reason why Molly Seidel was able to medal was because John got out of her way and also encouraged her to believe that kind of stuff. And she's psycho enough to do it. And that's kind of the balance we've struck now is I have these big goals, big dreams, and he's never going to stand in the way of those dreams. He's always going to prop them up and believe in you. And if anything, if I wish like John was a little harder on me sometimes, like a little bit more like you need to be better. Instead, he's always like, yeah, you're crushing.
Yeah. Yeah, gotcha. Let's have a quick break to talk about Nomio because it's something that I've been looking into recently. The concept is pretty simple. You take it about 3 hours before a hard session or race. It's made from broccoli sprout juice, which contains an active substance called ITC. ITC has been shown to help reduce lactic acid buildup and oxidative stress during high intensity efforts. What's interesting isn't just that sessions can feel smoother, it's what happens over time. If you're able to handle hard workouts better and recover more consistently, you can stack quality sessions. And that's really where performance gains come from. Over the past year, we've seen many elite athletes start using it. Guys like Cole Hocker, Connor Mantz, and Andreas Algren. Andreas, who has had a huge season last year with his triple European records. I was so intrigued by the research and the results of Nomio that I reached out to the team to learn more. And after trying it myself, I can only wonder about what part they played in all the records that were set at London Marathon this year. If you want to check it out yourself, it's at drinknomio.com. And if you're in Australia or New Zealand, you can find it at Aid Station and all over at the running company. Hey, you're a busy man. So like professional athlete, you got the podcast going on with JT, you got your coaching company, YouTube's pretty regular. Your Strava, there's like 17 hours of exercise on there. You got 2 kids, about to be a dad of number 3, commitment to sponsors like what we're doing now. Is it too much at times? Like remember the old like Galen Rupp model? He just would pop up with some random Nike thing. But like you've got heaps of stuff going on.
Yeah. Well, I question whether or not it's too much all the time. And I've kind of added it one thing at a time, right? Like the podcast is kind of a new thing. The coaching business is brand new. I've been coaching for 7 years. Like I've done that, but my own thing is 3 months old now, 4 months old. Like the birth of the idea was earlier this year and the activation started in May. So it is pretty new. And that's been the biggest chunk of time is like starting like a business and owning something like that. Podcast is regular, but it's predictable. It doesn't really vary in intensity. Like you got to do a couple hours of prep maybe, and then planning a guest and then let it rip, set it and forget it. So between all that and the way I delegate the work for the YouTube, the main thing is still family and training. The other stuff is kind of ancillary, but I joke that I'm the busiest guy in running, and I kind of feel like it's a superpower of mine is that I'm wired to have a lot of energy, and I believe that it's paying off for me in like brand growth, brand reach, opportunities, and running is that one of those sports where if I did nothing and just focused on my performance versus what I'm doing now, I have no idea how different my life would look, right? Like I kind of feel like I have to do all this to maximize the years I have in this sport and to make the most out of it and to make a career out of it and to grow and be more than just an athlete. It's challenging. Like it's easy to just be just the athlete, but I think more people should do more stuff.
Yeah, we've seen in Australia as well, like a lot of our elite athletes now have jumped into the YouTube world. And like when you talk about like brand Rory Linkletter, is obviously that's something that you focus on. You've put a lot of time and energy into it. I even think like I remember you at the press conference at Chicago, like the double denim. You had the double denim rocking, didn't you? Like you seem like you're a cool kind of hip guy. We've spoken about the mullet. How much of that comes naturally, and then how much is it like, okay, when my next contract's up, I can also add, I'm getting X amount of views on YouTube. I get this amount of listeners on the podcast. I've grown my Strava to X thousands of people. Like, is that a conscious decision for you to be, I'm a well-rounded person hitting all these different markets and this is my job?
It is conscious. You never know what the impact of one decision or another is. Like starting the YouTube, I was like, it might work, it might not. When I started the podcast with JT, I was super reluctant to do it. I like basically told him I didn't want to do it because there's too many running podcasts, hard to differentiate, hard to have success in the space. But he encouraged me to try. I tried, and I'm a sucker for just saying yes to stuff and trying stuff. And I like talking. So I was like, yeah, I'll just put it. I basically told myself I'll do the minimal effort and I'll just see how this goes. And it became fun. It became successful pretty quickly. And the YouTube was much more of a slow grind. Like I didn't see any fruits of those labors for a year and a half, 2 years. Now I'm like, wow, that was the best decision I ever made was starting a YouTube. Like in terms of like brand growth, like a year and a half ago, so start of 2025, I had one sponsor, Puma, and a couple like really small ancillary deals, like whether it be gear or small base structure and some bonus incentive maybe. But as we speak now, I think I'm up to 7 like real sponsors, and a lot of that I attribute, like obviously I'm running better too, which helps. But if you look at my peers in the running space, the ones that are as successful from a external, how many sponsors, potential earning, whatever, I think everyone is doing similar things. Not necessarily as much, but similar. Clayton Young's doing it. Charles Hicks does it. Joe Klecker just started a YouTube. The OAC boys with like the Coffee Club pod.
Yeah.
Nowadays, if you're just a runner, you're capping yourself extremely on what you can do in this sport because we don't have a force behind us to prop us up. There's nothing propping us up. World Athletics is never going to do the legwork. Our local federations, whatever national governing bodies are never going to push us up. Sometimes these teams try, like when I was on NAZ Elite, they did a little bit of the propping for us, but even those it's super subpar. Like Swoosh TC, there's not a single like that idea isn't being propped up by Nike at all. Like those guys are individuals. They might be a team, but like Swoosh TC isn't adding value to the Nike athletes from a brand perspective.
Yeah, and there's got to be some responsibility there. We've got we were just talking about it on our weekly show last night, like Stuart McSwain's just like he doesn't do a lot on social media, and then he had a really poor 1500 meter race a couple of weeks ago, and there was kind of no, like the sports teams you follow, like the coach does a press conference afterwards, there's a statement, an injury statement a couple of days later, like you don't hear anything, and then 3 weeks pass and you hear that he got taken out by a bike on the track in one of his training workouts, and you're like, oh, that's why he ran 3:45 for a 1,500 meters. But we've got this huge disconnect, not so much with you because you're really accessible, but between some elite athletes and people who are trying to be fans of them. So what you're doing is
Yeah.
amazing.
I mean, I try. I am a fan of all other sports. That is like my number one. Outside of running, my passion is sports, like just general. Like, let's just say, like, I just got really into the Tour de France. I was really loving it. I'm a American football, basketball, baseball, hockey fan.
Oh, give
And
us some teams. Who do you follow?
dude, I'm a mess when it comes to teams because I grew up in
Okay.
places without teams. But my only team that makes sense is the Calgary Flames. The others, you're just going to go,
Oh,
okay, how did we get here? Which is Boston Red Sox, Baltimore Ravens, and Denver Nuggets.
hey, you've just reminded me. I spent some time in Canada years ago. Are the Calgary Hitmen a team? Like
Yep, that's a
yeah. I went and watched.
junior
Yeah,
hockey.
yeah.
Yeah,
We went and watched the
yep,
game when we were there. Yeah. Okay. Bit of a mix there. Have you ever come across Australian rules football?
no,
AFL?
I
Oh,
know of it, but I haven't
yeah. Okay.
I haven't followed it or anything.
We'll give you a team, the Collingwood Magpies. You can support the same team I do. We're the most popular team over here. So yeah,
Okay,
I'll send you some highlight clips after this. You'll be a fan.
okay, sounds
Yeah,
great.
and there's so many good lessons to learn from those sports that I think running, not everyone, but a major part of running has kind of been slow to adapt.
Yeah. Yeah, running is like kind of a purist sport, and I love what like I'm one of those pro runners that is against the grain a little bit where you'll talk to the average pro runner and they love to just talk loads of crap on the influencer space. I'm like, dude, the
Yeah, yeah,
influencers are literally putting the sport on the back. They might be doing some things wrong in like the general
yeah,
like educational side of the sport and might be like you might roll your eyes at some of the things they're doing, but they're creating intrigue. I coach a guy named Truett Haynes, who is like one of the
yeah.
bigger like running influencers, and he's in Flagstaff right now. I'm gonna go run with him right after this. That guy's inspired me beyond belief. Like I never thought I'd be inspired by a running influencer, but like seeing how dedicated he is to his goal and how raw and authentic he is, like you don't realize some of these influencers are actually just being like straight up real. Like they might be corny to you, but that's just they're actually being real, and you're just afraid because you don't want to be that exposed, that naked online, and that vulnerable to an audience. Because us pro runners, we're taught we were taught really young, especially people my age and older, is like let your legs do the talking, man. Like don't you don't need that extra attention. That's all noise. It's like it's kind of old school. It's like dude, like just call your shot. If you suck and you blow it, nobody really cares, but at least you got people excited to follow something unique. And that's what my YouTube has become. It's just like I go on there, I train, I say what I want to do, and then I say, now follow me, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to try to get there. So that was kind of the impetus of the channel. And I'm not by any means the most successful YouTuber, but I think I've stayed true to that. Like, hey, I'm going to tell you what I want to do, and then you're going to be able to decide whether or not you want to root against me or for me. And I'll tell you the honest truth after the fact.
There's a lot to be learned about the way those influencers have come into the space. So it's because some of the elite athletes or even that sub-elite athletes are not great at storytelling and they may be a bit quieter and they've left this space for then the attention to be grabbed by these guys. Like we've got Ned Brockman over here in Australia. He's a Puma guy as well. And like a 2:30 marathon. And we've got hundreds of guys who can go quicker, but they're not as good in front of the camera. They don't put out the content as regularly. So then the argument is, but like, he's stealing the attention off Andy Buchanan, who was the Australian record holder until a couple of weeks ago. And how come Andy's stuff only gets this amount of views, but Ned's gets this much? And it's like this weird, and I reckon there's a bit of jealousy from like the old school runners that come into it, that they're like, oh, look how much attention this guy's getting. He's not even that good. So it's a weird space.
It's not attention they're jealous of. It's money, bro.
Oh yeah,
the money's flowing. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of like, do you want to let them get it or do you want to try to get it yourself?
Spot on. Yeah.
I'm pretty motivated. Like, I don't think it's wrong to say like motivation is like building a business, building a brand, finding ways to monetize the sport. And we're not getting tens of millions of dollars from professional franchises. So you got to create it through endorsements, and what sells shoes is views, eyeballs. So get the eyeballs. Get the
Yeah.
eyeballs.
Hey, some quick fire. Well, maybe not so quick fire, but I haven't got much longer to go with you. I love asking people this one. You're Sebco for a day, World Athletics, putting you in charge. You can make whatever changes you want in the sport. They're going to stick. What are you doing? You're in Sebco's chair.
I mean, first thing I'm doing is probably I want to talk about before we started. We talked about being controversial. I thought when you proposed this question, I was like, first thing I'm doing is firing Sebco. But I actually don't know if like someone else would naturally do a better job. I think it's a tough job to do as a global governing body, but there's just so little innovation, and like this is the World Athletics Ultimate Championship year. It's like
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
cares, man? I don't care. I've very disengaged with the World Ultimate Championships this year. It's like, hey, let me know when it's on, and I'll decide which events I care about based on the athletes and the personalities. I would say what I would do is I would create scarcity of the product, and I would create some sort of like you got to get in like exclusivity maybe could be another way of doing it. And obviously like world athletics world championships are exclusive and like there's limited spots, and that's why we care about those things, right? And they're scarcity, they only happen once every 2 years. But like within the regular calendar, like we have the Diamond League, it's great, whatever, there's meets, they matter, they're fun, they're cool, they're fast, they're in good cities. I think there should be less of everything and harder to get into, and like you have to go through a process through competition to work your way into like getting a pro card, then getting a little less political, a little less like who's your agent, a little bit more like did you rise through the ranks in the proper way and earn your way into the stage, right? Like what if the marathon majors had a qualification system? What if you
Yeah.
couldn't just get like a
The
spot on the
agent.
Boston Marathon start line because your agent got you on the line? What if you actually had to place X or run X time in this race, similar to how, Boston, the amateurs have to apply based on a time? What if
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
if the pros actually had like a process where they were held to a standard in order to be in the race, and then it was like there was scarcity? I think scarcity is a good thing. I think it creates a little bit of maneuverability, and then like the people that are actually doing meaningful things get the spot, get propped up, and then the people that are kind of riding the coattails of past success or like the politics of the sport can kind of get thrown away. Although no matter what you do, politics will always prevail in sport.
Yeah. Okay, what about this one? And we can cut this out if we have to. But what's like 95% of our listeners are like rec runners. They're never going to be in a elite call room of a major marathon or the technical meeting the day before. What's one thing about marathoning, the business of marathoning, that they wouldn't know?
That the prize money on the outside of a marathon, especially a major, is like a tenth of the pool of money that's being floated around. Like a tenth, maybe.
Yeah. So you mean like time bonuses, appearance fees,
I'm
stuff
talking
in?
from the race, not from
Okay.
brands. I'm talking
Okay.
from the race. Like the more I'm in it, the more I realize like it's all about like these races pick their people. They love their people. Like Saway's going to do Berlin every year because guess what? They're going to pay him the most. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
people are like, oh man, wouldn't it be cool to get John Career, Yomiv Kajelcha, Sebastian Saway, and Kaplimo on the same start line? I was like, there's 0% chance of it ever happening
Yeah.
because the only place it could happen is the Olympics because there's no money in the Olympics, right? Like there's no one, but it probably won't happen in the Olympics because these countries are so bad at selecting teams and the timing is everything. So who knows if we'll even get that? We can think, we can hope, we can wish that it lines up where, all the right people make the team and stay fit at the right time. But chances are we just never get the best people in the best place, which is a damn shame because the best sports in the world don't have this problem, right? Like if you're a basketball fan, you know that the best basketball is going to happen in the NBA finals. For running, it's like kind of random other than the world championships, and track is pretty good. But in marathoning, it's a money game. It's sprinkled everywhere. And it's just like where are people going to go is highly incentivized by, making money. And it's because these athletes have a finite amount of time to make money and the money's not astronomical. So you have to grab what you can get.
Yeah. Okay, next one. You're in this coaching business now. What's one of the biggest mistakes that you see a rec runner? Do you guys use the word rec runner in America?
I would say amateur
Okay,
athlete.
amateur, hobby
Rec
jogger.
runners not
Like,
hobby joggers. Like I feel like a little derogatory.
okay, rec
But
runner's not
maybe
offensive, is it?
no, I don't think
Okay,
so.
that's good.
Recreational, like I'm a rec cyclist now. I think.
Yeah, punters we used to call them out down here in Australia. But what's one mistake you see of those people, the people that aren't professionals, making when they try to copy professionals? And the flip side, what is something that rec runners, general population, can copy off a professional that's going to work for them?
So one thing that rec runners try to copy off professionals is professional they skip the developmental phase and just go straight to professional types of volume or professional types of intensity. They'll see like something on there, like now that we have access to everybody, like the access is the highest it's ever been. Someone could see on my YouTube a workout I did or the volume I'm doing, or follow me on Strava and try to copy and paste. But what they don't realize is A, like the talent that is required to accomplish these tasks, and B, the years of development that went into getting ready for that. Like you'll have someone that's like, oh, I want to try double T. It's like, well, have you mastered single T? Have you mastered the basics? Because that's advanced. Like it's like trying to do trigonometry without having a basic understanding of addition and subtraction, right? Like you need to take the steps in the order in which they were intended to be done. And this is really common now in the like influencer space, is like going straight from 0 to 100. And that can be taken literally, like people that are doing marathons straight off the jump and trying to run as many of them as they can to hit some goal, instead of taking a step back and being like, well, do I need to develop this or that first and foremost, and peel the layers back? Because there's a reason why the professionals got where they are, and it's because they went through a rigorous developmental process through their like youth all the way up to adulthood as an athlete.
Yeah, but the marathon, Rory, is so that's the event. No one wants to do 5 or 10 years of like working on your speed and doing some 3Ks and 5Ks.
This is where I would correct, is people think it's marathon or bust. I coach a lot of marathoners and I just make them do 5Ks and 10Ks, not for a whole year, but like within the structure of marathon training. Like you can develop a faster 5K in the marathon block, that, believe it or not. But like what I think is skipped is like people hold the marathon here, they race it as much as they can. That's all they care about. It's like you can still have the marathon be your A thing, but you can take steps in the 5K and 10K. So like the average, let's say 3-hour marathon or rec runner that wants to get under 3, even, like, because that's a pretty globalized standard of excellence in the marathon for a rec runner. A lot of them are like, yeah, I just want to break 3 hours. And then you look at their 5K time and they're running like 20 minutes. It's like, well, we got to probably get a little faster first and foremost, because you're really pushing up against the ceiling here in your marathon. So like, let's do some strides. Let's run some 5Ks in the summer and get a little speed development in you, and like peel back the volume for a little bit and focus on the other stuff before we start the marathon block. And that's kind of, I reverse engineer the base phase to like a speed block, then marathon phase.
Yeah. So good. Last one, mate. What's on the bedside table? You got a book you're reading at the moment, or Netflix recommendation?
Dude, I wish I was reading.
Well, you got 2
right
kids. You don't have time for this. You're about to have your 3rd child.
No, this is the dog days of summer in terms of sporting. Usually I would just say I watch sports in my free time. World Cup just ended. Now Tour de France just ended. Now I'm like, what am I supposed to watch? Regular season baseball for a couple weeks. So, I'll probably try to find a show to binge, but I actually don't have one right now. But I'm pretty dedicated to all the other things in my space right now. So, I'm pretty locked in on the coaching, the family, and the running and the content. So it's keeping me busy enough that, maybe I have an hour at the end of every night where I unwind and flip on some random show, Law and Order SVU or something.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for your time. Massive thanks to Nomio for making you available. I've had so much fun, Rory, for the last hour, picking your brain. Good luck for is there a Canadian record for the hour?
Yes, it's 19.6 kilometers, so I should
Oh,
be able
that's
to get
gone.
that one.
Yep.
If I don't get that, which I will say, I'll preface this by saying I have failed before. I did the hour run in 2021 when I was back at
Okay.
Hoka, and I blew up and like was just jogging the last 20 minutes. So I did fail to get this record once. I think I'm a far better athlete now, and I'm more keen to see how close I can be to the world record and how well I can compete with like the Gressiers and like the world class top of the top of this race. I like measuring myself against the best, so that's going to be the goal.
And then World Half Marathon chance in Copenhagen when Canada finally picked their team.
That's the goal. I plan on staying in Europe between Belgium, the Brussels Diamond League, and Copenhagen, and I'll just do like a 2-week holdover over there. And yeah, assuming I'm selected, which I have every reason to assume I will be all in on Copenhagen. I'm very excited about that potential. I think that's going to be an electric race.
That will be good. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you.
I just want to end this episode with a quick shout out to Nomio. After trying it in my own training, I'm convinced, and every elite athlete I follow also seems to be on it. Using it before hard sessions or races is a game changer, and I can't imagine doing one now without broccoli in my veins. You can find out more for yourself at drinknomio.com.
Show love to everyone you meet. Doesn't matter if